Hey guys, thanks for joining me here again today at Kaylee's Corner. Super glad that you're here with me. I had another vision that I wanted to go ahead and share with you. So this one I've actually had for a little bit of time, but I feel like God's been really working on it in me and in my own life first, but now I really feel like He's telling me and releasing me to go ahead and share this with you guys. So I hope that it brings you some encouragement. I hope that it brings you some revelation, maybe some clarity. But above all else, I really pray that it would bring you closer to Jesus and really just, help you understand where you're at and just maybe have some questions to bring back to the Lord and let Him speak to you personally and see what He wants to do with you and what this looks like in your life on a personal level. So in this vision, I was resting and just kind of hanging out with the Lord, and I was just hanging out on the hammock, kind of just swinging back and forth, and He's so good, and He, comes and joins me, and we're just kind of hanging out and resting together, which I feel like is important. We kind of forget that we need to rest, and that it's not a punishment and it's not a problem to rest. So I feel like He was meeting me in that moment of rest and just kind of restoring me and relaxing with me. But as we were sitting there, I saw Him kind of reach up and grab something out of the air. Like He saw something that I didn't see, which not news to me. Like obviously He sees things that I don't see, and so He had grabbed this thing out of the air, and then all of a sudden we were like transported into kind of this like old library sort of room. It was really beautiful, and like old wooden furniture and kind of like dark dim lights, but I could tell like it was a very like intimate place, and it was very special, and it was very well taken care of. But it to me kind of felt like maybe an old library or an old office, something where like kind of strategy and a lot of problems were solved. So we were in this room, and I saw this really big, beautiful wooden table kind of laying out in front of me, and there was a bunch of papers that were all kind of scattered all over the top of this table, and just kind of upon my first glance, it looked like plans or like blueprints that you would maybe see like an architect or like construction companies, things like that, for people that are like building a home or building a business or building any sort of building. There's a lot of plans and a lot of blueprints that go into it. And so at the first glance, it's kind of what it looked like, but I'm not really aware of those things. So that was just kind of what came across my mind is, man, they look like blueprints, but they were not cohesive at all. They looked like there was just a lot of things kind of scattered all over the place. I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be a house or a building or a business or a road or a bridge. Like there was just stuff jumbled everywhere, and like a lot of partial things, like only half done or a quarter done, or just like random parts of different things were done, but nothing was really complete and nothing really came together to be cohesive at all. And so I was just kind of looking through them, trying to, see if any of these things made sense together. And as I was looking through them, God kind of came up behind my shoulder, and He then gives me the thing that He had like grabbed out of the air, and it was this big scroll, like a big piece of paper. And I like kind of was able to, slowly unroll it and open it and see like that it was along the same lines of everything that was laying out on the table in front of me. So it made sense. Like, okay, this makes sense. This is kind of that missing piece for everything laying out here on this counter. Really just looked like a bunch of jumbled pieces of paper. But with this, it almost was kind of like a key, or like the compass of how all of these other maps and everything went together and how they made sense. And so I had laid that down and had kind of started to sort through everything else, and it was kind of like a puzzle, like trying to maybe match up different corners or different things that would make sense together. And there, as I was leaning over, there was a teardrop that kind of rolled off of my cheek, and it landed right in the middle of the scroll that God had given me and what I had kind of laid out in the middle. And everything else, all the other plants, everything was all in black and white and pencil, and not very like colorful at all. Like it was all just kind of black or white. But right where the teardrop fell on that piece of paper that God gave me, all of a sudden everything kind of came to life, and it was all colorful and it was beautiful, and it looked like kind of like a compass that made everything else make sense, like a key for like an unknown map or like an unknown puzzle that was the key that would make everything else make sense. And so it was really interesting that it was through a teardrop that made everything else kind of make sense. And so I was kind of looking around on the rest of the table to see what other tools were there, and I grabbed like a protractor and like one of those little pencil things and was measuring everything on all of these different pieces of papers that I had thought kind of started to go together. And I realized that they all were meant to overlap like at the same distance. And so I put the pencil like in the middle of where the teardrop was, and I moved and I got all of the pieces of paper to line up on top of it. And it was like each layer that I put on top of it, it kept revealing like more and more and more, because together they made sense, but separately they were all just random pieces. But like on the bottom layer it was the foundation, and then on the next layer it was more of like the walls, and then the next layer it started to make more sense with the rooms. And like as each layer got layered on top of it, everything underneath of it built on top of it, that it actually made sense. And then it revealed everything, that this was a plan, like these were actual blueprints to build something, but together they made sense. And so separately they weren't really very functional, they weren't very helpful, and they really didn't give you any information. But when they all kind of fit together and they all snapped together and they all layered on top of each other, like those were the blueprints. And those, I feel like that was really what I was supposed to kind of figure out and to better understand that all of these things needed to come together based off of that last missing piece that the Lord had given me. And then I was able to build everything else on top of that. And it kind of just turned into like this big book of all of these plans and all of these blueprints. And it was really beautiful. Like you could just see like all of the creations that were going to be coming out of all of these different plans and all of these different blueprints. So, I felt like there was a lot that the Lord was trying to speak to me through that. So I just wanted to go ahead and at least share this. But I really hope and I pray that He speaks to you personally too, because this is for everybody. I believe that He has more to speak to you on a personal level, and He had already kind of downloaded a lot to me personally. So what this looks like for me is what I, need to take action on, and what I'm working on, and what I'm focusing on, and what my priorities are right now. But those are the type of information that I want you to be able to go back and ask the Lord, so He can give that specific information to you as well. But at least for, I feel like, kind of the overall word that I wanted to go ahead and share with you is, I really feel like what God is saying is now is the time. Like, now's the time for all of the pieces to snap into place. He has given so many of you different instructions, specific instructions, details over the last few months, maybe over the last few years, and all of those pieces separately have made no sense to you, and there's been really no weight to them. There's nothing that you've been able to build or do with any of them, because they were all just kind of scattered fragments of pieces. But I really feel like God is saying, and now's the time for everything to start to come together, start to snap into place, and everything's going to start to make sense. So God is He's going to be giving each of you, each of His children, the specific missing piece that they need, that you need, that specific piece of missing information that will help everything snap into place for you. He is bringing those visions to life. Those dreams that have been in black and white up until now are now turning into color, and He's revealing the true masterpieces that they were always meant to be. He has had to keep certain things hidden and keep them in secret to keep them safe. But now He is revealing them to you. He is giving you what you need most to be able to make these dreams and visions come true and to bring them to life. He is releasing you and the dreams that He has given to you. For the world needs dreamers and visionaries now more than ever. He is releasing His children and the ideals that He has given each of you for a time such as now. We are living in a world that needs Him more than ever, but in different ways. These blueprints that He's handing out, these are not cookie cutter dreams or cookie cutter ideas or cookie cutter business plans. They are unique and wonderful and brilliant, and in their own spheres of influence, they will have a ton of weight. They are truly meant to bring heaven to earth. These are ideas and dreams and visions that you've had pop up in your mind, pop up in your heart, maybe different dreams that you've had, different words that people have spoken of you, different things that have caught your attention. but they have maybe not made any sense to you, and that you might have even thought you were a little crazy that these things were showing up in your life and they seemed really random and they didn't seem important at all. But separately, all of these things didn't make sense. Separately, that would make sense to you that these things weren't what you were supposed to do. But I feel like now God is starting to bring those pieces in, and this is where the weight comes in. This is where they actually have an impact, where you actually have an influence because of all of the missing pieces, all of those different layers to build on those foundations and really create the overall blueprints and the overall plan that God then is able to use. So these plans and blueprints will not match anything that you've seen in the world before. They will not imitate what you've ever seen anyone else do before. These are special and unique and otherworldly. Their intentions are truly to bring heaven to earth, and you, as God's children, are the vessels. For you are wonderful and creative and imaginative vessels that God desires to use to bring these changes to our world. They may seem like they're small or minute ideas, but when they are mixed with everyone else's talents and everyone else's dreams and everyone else's visions, together they will make a huge and lasting impact. So my encouragement to you guys is now is your time. You are no longer needing to wait around. You no longer need to wait for approval or wait for someone else to validate what you are doing or what you want to do or what you think you've heard or what you think you've seen in your quiet time with God. If he spoke it to you, he will do it through you. I promise you that. For he is bigger than all of the world. So don't look around. Don't look to the left. Don't look to the right. Don't look around to anyone else, but look up. Look up to him and wait and receive what he wants to give you. Let him give you that missing piece so that you can build that foundation and get those blueprints out. For God is releasing the final pieces to your confusing plans. He's helping you tie everything up and bring it together. So now's the time for y'all to go out and start to change the world. So I hope that this brings some encouragement to you, and I really do pray that you would take this back to the Lord so that he can give you those really personal, intimate ideas and dreams and visions and just all of those plans that he has for you. And I'm really, really excited to see what all of us do, what everything that God wants to work through us as his children, and see all those things come to pass. So until I see you guys again next time, I'll see you later. Bye.